Louisiana All American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If it's sports you want to talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the South. It's every Hatfield and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're going to sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station to hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready, boy, you better not miss Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana. It's Joker P.
It's a little bit of a train wreck going from Joker Pete to the LSU fight song, but you know, sometimes it's just in the air today. It's in the air, and big game in town. The eyes of the nation and the media of the nation have descended upon us, and we'll just be discussing that today. But this morning, you are listening to Louisiana All American Sports on 96.9 FM WHYR-LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. I'm Eric Hatfield.
And I'm Gerard Piper. Good morning, Baton Rouge.
Great job. Joker, man, the intro is hot.
man, the intro is blazing like Johnny Blaze. What's up, Coach Perry Daniels? What it do, my brother?
What to say, good brother? The professor's in the house. Good to speak with you, good
Indeed, brother. It is good to speak to you as well, brother.
We got a full slate of action for today. We have a lot. We got high school, college, professional sports, and the best of it all. Let's start off with the young folks with the high school circuit. Last night was the final week of the regular season in high school football. Last night on the Louisiana All American Sports.com game of the week, we brought you the Southern Lab Kittens in their regular season finale hosting the Kentwood Kangaroos from Doug Williams Stadium. The winner of that game would win the District 6-1A championship. Both teams were 3-0 in district play heading into last night's game. We've talked about the Southern Lab Kittens a lot on Louisiana All American Sports, and it's with good cause. This is a 1A program that has gone from scratch to being a championship contender in just the span of 2 seasons, and Coach Nick Mitchell over there at Southern Lab is doing an incredible job, in my opinion, of all the coaches I've gotten to cover the last 4 years on Louisiana All American Sports.com. I got to say that Coach Mitchell is one of the 2 brightest in the city of Baton Rouge. Joker, what was your takeaway? Southern Lab emerged victorious 20-6 last night, winning their first ever District 6 1A championship. Joker, what was your takeaway from that game?
Man, what an awesome game we broadcast last night. Man, the Southern Lab Kittens put on the show last night. To me, they were very disciplined. They learned from earlier when we broadcasted them against U-High, and they kind of got blowed out, but not as bad. But it seemed to me like they learned from their mistakes from the earlier during the year. They were consistent on both sides of the football. The defensive line actually was in the backfield several times to be able to make the tackle. But Kentwood had a special guy. His name was
Shaheen
Carter, number 5. And this guy here was actually the quarterback. He was a running back out the backfield. He even kicked an extra point.
Played on defense?
Punt returner. He played on defense, and this was a special guy. From what we heard, he was a commitment to Alabama.
Yep.
And but he couldn't do it by himself. Southern Lab played a very, very good game. It was a very good coach game, and I complimented Coach Mitchell last night about it. So, man, kudos to that coaching staff, having those guys prepared.
It was a chess match, and Coach Mitchell won it. He had some of his pawns and bishops were knocked off the board, but at the end of the day, he was able to put the Kangaroos in checkmate. I'm going to ask you, this is a rhetorical question for you, but it's a real question for the rest of the audience. Was there anybody that stood out in that game? Like, I don't know, Darby on Profit.
Yeah, Darby on Profit. Last night, this guy was amazing. You know, we actually was able to interview him last night. Him and his mom. He comes from a single parent background and a very humble kid. But this guy is on the field. He's a beast. Every time he ran the ball, he was able to fall forward. He broke big runs. He cut to the left, cut to the right. He had spin moves. He had speed and power. And it was a very, man, it was awesome to be able to watch him last night. You know, we call him the Prophet because he's making money, and also he was like walking on water. You know, he was amazing.
Hey, that Red Sea was parting every time he toed the rock. We had a chance to catch up with the Prophet family last night. Joker Pete was Johnny on the spot. Here we go, folks.
How you doing, Miss Prophet? What's your name?
Sandra.
Sandra?
Oh, I'm a proud mother, baby. I'm
Okay.
Proud of my son.
Okay, you proud of your son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proud of my son.
Oh, yeah? When did you start seeing something that was a little bit special in your son?
Oh, I've been seeing something special in him, baby. I've been because I'm a single mother, so I raised him. He already know. I told him, whenever you leave out the house, do what you got to do because you never know who's watching.
The player of my game right here. I'm here with the man of the hour right here. The player of my game right here. This man performed tonight. Had a close to 200 yards. I'm sure. How you feel about how you did tonight?
I feel pretty good. I'm just hurting.
So you just hurting right now. Huh? You got banged up pretty good, but I saw you actually come back in the game to get a nagging little injury or something this game.
Yes, just hurt my groin, but I wasn't gonna let it stop me. I kept playing.
You kept playing. Well, man, you guys did a great job, an awesome job, man. I saw that you guys, the first of the year, y'all had played Donaldsonville here, and y'all had got a big lead on them and kind of let them end up coming back. But this time, y'all was able to close the deal out, you know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was the plan. Good job, man. I just want to congratulate you, man. You been thinking about anything about the college, or the scouts been talking to you, or what they been saying?
I haven't decided yet.
So you haven't decided where you want to go yet, huh?
No, sir.
Yeah. Well, good, man. I appreciate it, man. You look like a real humble brother. I want you to keep on doing it, keep on striving, man. You can do anything in the world you want to do, bro.
So that was Joker Pete caught up to Darby on Profit, and you can tell he was a humble kid. I'll tell you, if I had a performance like that in a game that would have decided the district championship with, almost 200 yards rushing, a couple of touchdowns, my hit would have been the size of a watermelon. But that kid kept it grounded and down to earth, which is kind of a reflection of Coach Mitchell himself and how he runs his program. I mean, there's one of the oldest adages in sports is that players are typically reflective of their coach.
Exactly, and he was a very, very humble kid. And like I said, his demeanor off the field, he didn't have a real big ego. His mom was right there on the sideline with him, so I could tell he come from a good, foundation of a background in the family, in the house. And that means a lot, especially these days, the way the athletes are kind of being, under the microscope, and,
right.
And any little thing they do, showing. But this guy here was very humble, and he impressed me a lot.
He did too. I would have been, because if I were in his shoes after that performance, I'd have been an animal. Well, we also caught up to another one of Coach Mitchell's players. This is a guy who's been literally there from ground zero. The quarterback, Bladrick Veal, didn't rack up a whole lot of yards. Southern Lab had to turn to the run to win. Kentwood did a great job preparing for the Southern Lab passing game. But this is a kid. He's now a junior, and just he's the way he carries himself and the way he's developed on the field, he's shown some wisdom beyond. He's a junior, so I'm guessing it's 16 years. This was quarterback Bladrick Veal and also Coach Nick Mitchell. I said this was Coach Bladrick. Okay, hang on a second. We have a little stubbornness here. But Joker, but real quick, you made some observations about Veal last night. What did you see?
I saw a lot of maturity from him. I saw a lot of poise from him in the pocket. The game we was talking about earlier with Donaldsonville, he seemed a little bit more rattled. But this game here, even though it was a big game and it was a home game for him, it was a lot of times where he rolled outside the pocket. He didn't see anything there. He was able to throw the ball away or make the right decision. He threw, I think, only one interception, which was a kind of a ball that kind of got away from him. But other than that, this guy was poised, and I really liked the way that he controlled the offense to a degree.
His downfield vision was fantastic. Here's Perry. Oh, here's
I was just about to say that he's maturing at the right time, Eric. As the playoff run is coming up, he's maturing at the right time. I believe the young man's only a sophomore.
He's a junior. Bladrick is a junior.
He's a junior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just when it's time for that program to make its run towards the Dome there in New Orleans, he is playing at his best.
Perry, you hit. You must have been psychic. Or must have been with us in spirit last night, because that's a nail you hit on the head that we asked him about. Here is Bladrick Veal, and here is Coach Nick Mitchell.
We're standing here with Bladrick Veal, quarterback, Southern Lab Kittens. Bladrick, you guys have won your first District 6-1A championship. Talk about what that means.
I'm just proud of my team, proud of the way we came out and fought from the beginning to the end.
You guys have come a very, very long way in a really, really short period of time. I don't know if, I mean, you're in it right now, but I don't know if, tell me what it feels like to have gone from kind of almost like playing playground ball last year, really struggling with some of the big boys, like the U-High game, which was kind of tough, and all of a sudden making it to the state semifinals, and then this year really coming out and making a statement in your district.
We was on a mission this year. We got together as a group and as a family and got down and had a meeting and just talked about it. We worked our butts off in the summer and in the off season, and we just went from there. And we said we were going to win state this year, and that's what we're going to do. At first we said we were going to win district. We won that, and now it's time to win state.
You took one of the words out of my mouth. We commented during the broadcast that we think, like, for this team, for you guys, it's got to be New Orleans or bust this year.
Yeah, it's New Orleans, Mercedes Superdome.
All right. Well, look, I know you want to be with your teammates. Congratulations. Fine effort tonight, man.
All right. Congratulations again, my brother.
So that was Bladrick Veal, quarterback of the Kittens. He'll be taken for the playoffs, and he'll be back next year. He is just a junior. Eric Hatfield with Louisiana All American Sports. I am here with the victorious Coach Nick Mitchell. Coach, District 6-1A championship. The first that these young men have gotten to experience together. Tell me about what that means.
Well, it's been a long time coming. Kentwood for many years has been a huge rival for Southern Lab. And, they've got the best of us for quite a while now. And our guys made it their goal this year when we got ready for the offseason, when we started setting our goals. One of them was to win the district championship. And with that schedule that we had, those first 6 games, it really prepared us for a night like tonight. Having covered your program for the last couple of years, is the ascension of this program has been so rapid. And the kids, of course, are kids. You only go through high school once. I don't think they really have an idea of how rapid this ascension is for a high school football team. What do you think that's like for them? Tell me what this journey's been like for these guys. Well, those guys have sweat and bled and got yelled at and practiced and lifted away. They've been doing it for the past 2 years. And now remember, 2 years ago they were all freshmen. And so that year, we were up against the wall personnel-wise, and so we had to put them in the game. We had to put them out there and let them play. And what they did was they formed a bond and they gelled together and they became brothers. And so, our motto this year was to just finish the fight. And we had so many games where we just didn't finish. And tonight they got a chance to do that as a team.
Coach, you seem to have a winning formula for a smaller school. Last year you kind of sent the Kittens out into the lion's den, so to speak, with some of the big boys, and there was some wider scores. This year, as you kind of alluded to, it was a lot closer this year, and y'all took Donaldsonville down and had a close game with U-High with all those stars they have, and just were in the game with the meat till the very end, and now you just ran roughshod through the district. Is it New Orleans or bust this year?
Well, that's our goal. Southern Lab has 107 state championships. We haven't won one since 1996. I think that's 18 years. It's about time for another one.
All right, Coach, congratulations. We'll be airing this tomorrow morning on 96.9 FM.
So that was Coach Nick Mitchell, and he's a very proud papa. So Perry, I know you've had a chance to kind of get to know Coach Mitchell a little bit too, and then we'll talk about the rest of the prep football. But did you want to get in on that, because you definitely set up the volley on that New Orleans segue?
Well, absolutely, man. It is amazing what he has done at that program in such a short period of time, and it's just good to see the Southern University Laboratory School ascending back to its traditional place of power in high school football in Louisiana.
I agree, and they've been fun to watch, and we'll be carrying the Southern Lab Kittens, probably carrying the Southern Lab Kittens next Friday in their first round playoff game on Louisiana All American Sports.com Friday at 7. Check the website for the opponent and venue, but we're reasonably confident that's going to be the team that we'll be carrying. So with that, there were a lot of other games in the area, a lot of competitive games, and a lot of hearts broken in the area. We're going to go ahead to Professor Johnson. What else do we have in prep football?
Well, man, they had a whole slew of games out there, very interesting games that occurred yesterday. But just to make an interjection in reference to the Prophet game, Southern Lab, the guy actually ran for 224 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I'm viewing the stats here, and it says rushing yards, Southern Lab, 49 attempts, 224. So I'm assuming that's the combined backfields overall. It's not just specifically his stats, but 224 against 22 yards passing. So commendable game for the young man. In other sports, on a local level, Bruley defeated Glen Oaks 39-13. In a blowout, Baton Rouge Catholic High defeated East Ascension 58-28. Central got on the winning track with a defeat over Live Oak 35-7. Denham Springs upended Walker 54-33. Northeast blanked Redemptress 50-0.
Wow.
Plaquemine in their homecoming, they're trying to attempt to be like McKinley with homecoming festivities and tailgating and whatnot. They gave a try, but we're going to just give them an honorable mention with that. Plaquemine went out and won 54-6 against Tara. Scotlandville defeated Donaldsonville 36-6. Santa Ma in Dutchtown with a game of district implications. Santa Ma won 21-16.
That was a slugfest. That was back and forth all last night.
Yes, it was. U-High defeated Baker 55-14. A lot of high-scoring games last night, Eric.
Yeah.
Zachary defeated Broadmoor 56-22, and what I understand was a pretty tough battle early on.
Well, that's good. So it's going down in the high school area, and a lot of great.
Hey, Eric, can we? There are two other scores that we've got to touch on. He didn't touch on the McKinley score.
Scotlandville, huh?
Well, he mentioned Scotlandville. That Scotlandville did win.
Good.
Really don't have to mention the St. Michael's score. But St. Michael's 9-1 now. They're in District 4 classification 4A. St. Michael beat Bel Air, and I guess that's why it's not newsworthy.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. But I would be remiss in not mentioning McKinley and Woodlawn also, because they played on Thursday, and McKinley did come up on the short end of the stick. I'm not seeing the score in my stats, but however, I apologize for not mentioning the Big Blue.
That's a tough break. I mean, McKinley. McKinley's been
21-13.
Lost a close one.
They've been an enigma all year long.
Yeah.
They went and beat Santa Ma of all teams in their own barn. They traded blows with the likes of Catholic High, but then they lose to Woodlawn. That team has had me scratching my head all year. The passing game's got to get a passing game next year.
They do need a passing game, but just one observation. I mean, McKinley hasn't been really blown out at all. All the games that they've competed in have been very close. So, I mean, I think we're right on the cusp of turning the corner next year. And, yes, if we wouldn't have had the encounter with our quarterback with the grades and whatnot, I think we would have been a very formidable team.
Yeah.
So
Professor and Joker, as alumnus, we continue moving in the same direction. At the top of that football organization there at McKinley?
Oh, wow. That's what I was going to say, actually. I think that, like Professor T said, we've been close in a lot of games, but I think that we're actually underachieving. So I think that we actually have the athletes to be there, and I think by talent alone, that makes us be able to be close in a lot of games with a lot of other teams that we're kind of. But I think that it's a coaching problem. I see fundamentals that they're not. I see penalties at the wrong time. I see big plays and then not being able to get the ball in the zone and get in the red zone. I see special teams. I see stuff like that. So when I see those type of things, they have the athletes. They have punt returners. They have three good backs actually, and each one of them on their own accord can do some damage. But from what I'm seeing, that it starts at the top, and coaching is a very important thing, and it gets overlooked a lot of times
with talent when you have a lot of talent. But coaching is very, very important. If you don't have the fundamentals, you just can't win off talent alone. And so that's what I see. And I hate to say that, but it's been starting to echo here in the community from what I'm hearing about Coach Signator.
Of course, I'd like to piggyback on that as well. I concur with Joker. The smoke signals have been sent out by the village. There are factions within the community that are actually calling for the brother's head.
Oh man, it's not just in the community. Professor, 2 weeks ago, the Louisiana All American Sports.com game of the week was across the river. Port Allen hosting Glen Oaks, and we met a gentleman in the stands who has McKinley roots, and he came to us and was talking about that. You know, so it's not just in the community; it's reached outside the community. It's if you watch any kind of prep sports, it's a hot topic.
Well, I tried to be nice about it and ease it in, but you know, Professor went over here.
I just had to go on and just stop being so cloak and dagger with it, and let's just expose it. But there is a faction of the community that is calling for the brother's head. I mean, he does have a phenomenal body of work with other schools, and he has had a pool of talent that's been there, but I mean, we haven't been able to turn that corner. So I mean, hell, we need a win. We need a victory.
Well, let me say that Coach Signator has been kind to Louisiana All American.
He sure has.
He has.
And we greatly appreciate that.
Indeed. Yeah.
And we just hope that things move forward with the McKinley football program, be it with that regime or a different one. We just want to see things move forward there. And the good thing about this time of the year in the bottom is that down there they shoot that rock. Isn't that right, Professor?
Yes, sir. Indeed, brother. Indeed. So
you better believe it.
It's traditionally Jamboree will be the second Thursday in November. So I'm starting to get that old feeling in my bones.
Yeah, I'm charged. I'm ready to go. Let's get it.
So that was, and I'll just say this much. I'm not in the position to call for, to suggest any man's head, but I'll say this much. Whoever's there or whatever happens next year, there absolutely, positively has to be an intense focus on the passing game, and they've also got to focus on the execution of special teams. Not the people kicking the balls, but everybody else around them. Those two areas are like an albatross around the necks of the McKinley Panthers.
Eric, let me just add one quick thing that I know will make Perry smile. I mean, realistically, we have to give I'm not sure how long Coach Signator has been employed by McKinley Senior High School. However, I'm sure his regime has had better results than Coach Raymond Ross. And I know that your former coach Ross was given an ample amount of time. I would say at least a decade that I know Coach Ross was at McKinley. We were on the snide.
Don't do that.
McKinley went winless for about 5 years, and no one was calling for Ross's head.
So you won't bring that up.
So in all fair to the not finna call him man Signator, we need to give him a good look, because if we tolerated Ross when we were like the Saints with the Aints, we need to give this man a good look, because that was Perry Daniels' coach.
All righty, and on that note, we will be walking off of the high school game and be bringing you updates of playoff action in the coming week. Poor Coach Ross. But we right now, look, we got some action in the college world. As usual, we are in Baton Rouge, and we have felines all about us. We have the Southern Jaguars and LSU Tigers. So before I spit on my hands and roll up my sleeves and start talking about the game that the ESPN and Fox and everyone else is down here for, we still got to talk about the team on the Bluff, as they are really building some momentum in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The Southern University Jaguars, fresh off of a win against Jackson State, and really a solid butt kicking of, I believe it was Alabama State. Was that who they played last week, Perry?
Yes, sir.
And they whooped Alabama State soundly at home, squeezing the life out of them in that fourth quarter. They got Texas Southern coming on up, and this is going to be a bit of a test. And I'm going to defer to the alums, Perry. And Perry, why don't you run with that?
Man, I'm still thinking about Coach Ross. Let me say, though, Professor, in Coach Ross's defense, Coach Signator has a lot more talent than Coach Ross had to work with.
Yeah, I think Coach Ross's problem was at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Perry Daniels, former McKinley quarterback.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm kidding.
Hey, Perry was good, man.
Go ahead, Coach.
Southern University, it is a big game this week, Eric, and it's going to come down to the Bayou Classic that's coming up, which should be very exciting television-wise as well as in attendance for that entire weekend. But in order to set themselves up for an extremely meaningful Bayou Classic, Southern can't overlook Texas Southern today.
No, it's a big game. And, right now Southern is only sitting with one loss in conference play. That was that one at Alcorn State where I think when they went there, they were completely in over their heads. But as Dawson Odoms always does, he seems to find a way to right the ship and adjust every time. And he's doing that again. And the Jags are out to a very impressive 5-1 record in the Southwestern Athletic Conference Western Division. But they are still trailing the Grambling Tigers by one in the loss column, game and a half overall. Grambling State 7-0, and Professor can't wait to jump in on that. 7-0, and they are. That is a game that's, like you said, Perry. If everyone does what they are supposed to do, and Texas Southern is a mediocre team by FCS standards, if they do what they're supposed to do and beat Texas Southern at home and continue to roll, it's going to be going down. It's not only going to be the battle for the Bayou Classic. It's going to be a battle, it's going to be a battle for the South for the right to travel to Houston and play in the SWAC championship. It'll be a division championship game de facto.
Yes, sir, it will be de facto. And, I mean, let's just go ahead and put the cards out on the table and let the rubber meet the road. Grambling is walking away with the SWAC. Southern.
Here we go.
I am a Grambling apologist, so bear with me. Eric is in here with his LSU hat on and has a smile on his face like Garfield. So let me speak on my Grambling Tigers as well. He's smiling like Garfield in here, Coach. But Grambling, really, Southern does not need to overlook today's game. I mean, Texas Southern perhaps could come in and steal some of their win from their sails. But as Eric said, it is lining up for a battle on Partridge Street this year. So we're looking forward to that.
Today, the Grambling Tigers host the Alabama State. Is it the Hornets? Is that what their mascot is? Yeah. Alabama State, the Hornets. Yes, Alabama State's another a mediocre FCS school. They should curb stomp them. Just can't look ahead. Just like they can't look ahead of Texas Southern or Southern cannot look ahead of Texas Southern or Mississippi Valley State, although they should Peter roll Mississippi Valley State. But you got to play those games first to set up the big matchup in the Superdome.
We have to play those games.
So that's what we have with the Tigers from northern Louisiana, as they have Alabama State. Southern, of course, like I said, hosting Texas Southern. Let's just go ahead around the horn. I expect both Southern and Grambling to win today.
I expect both of them to win today also. I think that this is a trap game, like you're saying, for them, but they can get past this game. Hey, I think Destiny is getting ready to head and meet up. The two trains are getting ready to meet here at the Bayou Classic.
Well, I'll just say ditto as far as my choice, but in the reference to what Joker just made, two trains. Grambling is a train. Man. I think Southern might be a trolley.
Yeah.
So it's a train.
Okay.
A trolley and a train. The big G is back, man. I mean, hey. So.
Okay. Well,
we'll see, man. Well,
okay, Coach.
It's unanimous. We're unanimous on our thinking on today's game. So let's push that forward, man. We've got a couple of weeks before we talk Bayou Classic.
Yes, sir. And, to borrow a snippet from the Memphis, Tennessee area hip-hop poets 8 Ball and NJG, on the other side of town, rolling quickly, moving swiftly in the hoopty ride, heading on to South Baton Rouge, as we have some activity coming up this afternoon. Y'all might have heard a little something about it, as we've got some visitors from out of town, and well, LSU hosting Alabama. The eyes of the nation have been upon us this week, and we have got a slobber knocking, no love loss, festival that's going to be going on today at Tiger Stadium. We've had tailgaters who've been descending upon the campus since Friday morning. I got a couple of friends. I don't know if they're listening, but the Calkins family, they were lined up at 9 o'clock last night, took a nap, got up at 5:30 this morning, and it is going to be crazy out there today in Tiger Country as the LSU Tigers host the Alabama Crimson Tide. Nick Saban coming on back to Baton Rouge. I'm sure he's going to have to be in the Pope Mobile, have his Army of Protection, but nonetheless, CBS Sports, one time per year, gets to choose one game to put in the primetime slot, and for, I'm losing count, 5, 6 consecutive years, I forget, it is LSU versus Alabama. I believe this is the 4th straight, going all the way back to that game of the century in 2011 that ended in a 9-6 LSU overtime win in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night, and I was saying, man, is game day not here today? And then they were like, well, no, CBS Sports is covering the game because game day was here with the Ole Miss debacle. But, I mean, yeah, you're right, man.
Debacle for whom?
But, yeah, that's an excellent observation, Eric.
Here we go. You know, I mean, the tension is in the air, the atmosphere is in the air, man. You can cut it with a knife. This is a very, very, very big game. I've been going back and forth with my pick. You know, we're going to get a little dialogue on the game first, and maybe I may change it. But, man, this is it. So I want to hear what Professor pick going to be. I mean, I want to hear what Coach Perry pick's going to be.
Well, there's pretty much no doubt about my pick here. This should be an entertaining football game with the great one coming back to Baton Rouge, and his team will definitely be prepared. Also, I failed to mention on our Southern University segment, Coach Darryl Asbury, who is a Southern University alum, will also be bringing his team back to Baton Rouge. He is the head coach of Texas Southern's football program.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, but
could be an advantage for him.
Well, no, I don't think that will change the results of what's going to happen on the bluff. But down in the southern part of Baton Rouge, this should be an entertaining game because you don't know what the Alabama quarterback is going to do.
Blake Sims.
If Blake Sims comes out here and has a decent game and it allows Coach Nick Saban to implement his strategy of taking care of the horrible LSU secondary and exploiting.
Well, Coach, how horrible? Now remember, I remember you dropping the horrible LSU secondary with the pause and repeat, and that was before the Kentucky game. And from that point forward, the secondary, somebody, somewhere, somehow woke up. I don't know if Coach Chavis said, "Oh shucks, fellas, let me try this. Explain this to you one more time." But whatever happened, it's been a 180 since then with the secondary. I mean, look at Ole Miss and. They've been horrible up until the last 2 games. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, here's what happened, Eric. Kentucky came in with a strategy of going east and west as opposed to going north and south. Mm-hmm. So the LSU team could make the tackle by keeping the play in front of them, and then you had an Ole Miss team that doesn't throw the ball. They come in and run the ball. And that played right into the strength of the LSU defense. So if Alabama can throw the ball effectively through the air and exploit that horrible LSU secondary, then Nick Saban is going to have the constituency that celebrated so illustriously Tuesday night with the election results very upset.
Wow.
Okay, I wasn't celebrating, but okay. Right. Shoot. So Perry, I just want to make sure I'm not misreading you. You're expecting Alabama to win.
Anytime the great Nick Saban steps into Death Valley, I expect him to win.
Wow. But are you picking him to win, or are you just?
He's picking him to win. I think that's an Alabama vote.
That's an
right
Alabama
there.
vote.
But look, Here's the thing. I've got to be as objective as possible and try to take my purple and gold shades off. You look at everything on paper. You look at the bodies of work. And Alabama, while this is not their greatest team in history, is pretty gosh darn good. And they have been, except their only loss was to Ole Miss, at Ole Miss, a team that's been ranked in the top 5 for quite a bit of the year until being curb stomped by a pair of Tigers, LSU and Auburn. Anyway, Alabama has been consistent across the board. Their defense has been like a python around the necks of every opposing team, it seems like. They actually have a couple of shutouts on the block this year, one against Texas A&M and that unbelievable molly-whopping beatdown. The difference is, I agree with Perry, is going to be Blake Sims. Blake Sims can put the ball in the air. Alabama has an equally powerful running game with that 1-2 punch of T.J. Yeldon and Derrick Henry, who looks like a pony every time he carries the football. But the key is really going to be, can LSU's secondary, can they contain Amari Cooper, because you're not going to stop him. Right. Can they contain Amari Cooper? And here's the key, and you all heard it here first, and you can put this in bold print. The third down is going to tell, Alabama's third downs are going to tell the tale of this game. Blake Sims is one of the best quarterbacks in the country on third down, and while he's not your traditional thrower, he's a little husky and sometimes can throw some balls and make you scratch your head. He can also light the scoreboard up, especially with a special player like Cooper alongside him. That's going to be the key. LSU has no passing attack whatsoever, and I think that's possibly going to be the difference in this game, especially if they fall behind it all. So I'm going to take my purple and gold shades off and say that if I were betting money, I would expect Alabama to win, but I'm not going to have a heart attack and die from surprise if LSU pulls off the upset in Death Valley in prime time, as they've done it before against better teams.
So who you picking?
I'm picking Alabama.
Okay.
Well, let me just go ahead and interject my.
Well, I'm just looking at my Twitter. Somebody just threw a rotten tomato at my Twitter page. Doggone it.
I'm going to go ahead and get in the car with Alabama as well. As Perry said, you have to be cognizant of Nick Saban and his run at LSU as well. And for those that are looking at the latest line, for Vegas has Alabama at a 6-point favorite. So LSU is a 6-point dog. So I don't know, the 6 points might be good at home, perhaps.
I love home underdogs, or big home underdogs.
Right,
More than 2-3 points. If I were a bettor, and I'm not, but I would always bet home underdogs that are more than 4, 5, 6 points. I would put my money on LSU with those points.
Right. So that's the spread. But I'm just going to pick Alabama to win outright. But in Vegas, it's LSU is a 6-point dog.
Wow. Well, I think that everybody's riding with Alabama. I'm going to do like Eric and try to be objective and try to not be as biased, which I do like the Tigers. But I've really been kind of going over this, and I think that John Chavis, Cam Cameron has really stepped their game up since the Auburn loss. LSU defense have held opponents to an average of 14 points now. Nick Saban's offense is not the powerhouse offensive line that they're used to having. They're kind of going more with Sims, and I think that LSU defensive line has stepped up. This defense now is real credible. They used to have the kind of weak secondary.
Kendall Beckwith has stepped his game
up, man. And they moved, I forget the linebacker. They moved him from defensive end to middle linebacker. He's been making a lot of plays. I think it's Beckwith.
Yes, Kendall Beckwith, yeah.
Yeah, it's Beckwith. They moved him from defensive end to middle linebacker, and he has a lot of speed from those east to west plays that Perry was talking about with Kentucky. This guy is showing up. This defense is showing up. I think they have their confidence, man. This is the game. I'm picking LSU with the upset in Death Valley. I'm picking the upset is going to be 21-17 LSU Tiger. This is my upset pick of the year.
What?
LSU is coming out. Les Miles, the Mad Hatter, LSU Tiger does it again. Upsets Nick Saban. They're not the powerhouse like they used to be. LSU has the momentum. We're going to get to Blake Sims. He's never been in the spotlight like this. This is a big game. If Ole Miss beat Alabama and we beat Ole Miss, LSU can beat Alabama. Yeah!
And Lil John seems to like that. He was in town a little while ago, so he's got a little of the Tiger fever.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I cannot wait, folks. 7 o'clock tonight on CBS. Dun, 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 dun. I think it's going to be all it's cracked up to be. We should be in for a very good football game. So we've made a lot of projections and talked about what's going to happen and done our prognosticating. But, that's one thing to say. It's another thing to be right. And last week, we definitely put ourselves out there and perhaps some maybe a little too much more than others. Talking about myself. And here is the segment, this week's I Told You So.
Check it out.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
The line is Auburn +3. For betting purposes, I'll take Auburn in the 3.
I'm gonna give the edge to Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss winning this game. 24.
All right, I think between that and them being at home, I think the Rebels will have just enough gas in the tank to get the win against their conference rival. The Cardinals have had trouble running the football, and the Dallas Cowboys have run all over folks. And I think if you win a running battle at home between two competitive teams, I like the team at home. I'll take the Cowboys.
I'll take the Cowboys also. I love what DeMarco Murray is doing. I love the Cowboys.
I am going with the Arizona Cardinals. I like the way these guys play. They don't have a running back, but the coaching that they have, the defense that they have, the discipline that they play with, and the fight that they have in them. I think that Arizona's going to go in there and beat these guys.
Yeah!
But this is a real matchup. Peyton Manning hasn't fared well in Foxborough, but I'm actually going to go against the grain and pick Peyton Manning and the Broncos in an minor upset at Foxborough.
Really?
I think the Broncos are going to win. Actually, the Patriots technically are underdogs. According to Vegas, it's New England +3. I got the Broncos in this one.
I got the Broncos too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Now, if it was the playoffs, then I probably would maybe go with the Patriots. But since it's the regular season, and Manning is probably the best regular season quarterback we've ever seen.
Manning is on a mission. Manning is on a mission.
He is on a mission. You're right. Wow.
Yeah, I tell you what, Tom Brady just gangster slapped me back to reality. He slapped my blinders off.
Yeah, well, I said in the playoffs, that I would have went with Tom Brady because he plays good and the weather was kind of bad, but they actually impressed me a lot.
Yeah, people that listen to the show long enough know I'm not a fan of the Patriots. I'm definitely not a fan of Bill Belichick, and therefore not a fan of Tom Brady. But I got to give it up. He's showing why he's one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah.
So we like to sometimes put our dunce caps on when we miss the mark on some of our projections, but we can make up for it. As Professor Johnson will raise our IQ points a little bit with his regular segment, Professor Johnson's History Class.
Freedom is a road seldom traveled by the multitude.
Public enemy number one.
Show what you got. Show what you got.
Class is in session.
Good morning, WHYR listening audience. As always, we would like to cordially thank you for tuning in and taking time from your busy schedule to listen to our program. We greatly appreciate you. Today I want to share with you, I've been continuing a theme from Europe. I shared some things last week about feudal lords and the rise of the feudal monarchy, and I thought I would get some feedback from Perry when I implemented and utilized the term basileus and explained what that term meant, the origin of that term, and how it derived. However, today I want to explain several terms to you briefly: folklore, myth, legend, fable, and tale. A folklore is a tale that's typically used by the masses. A myth is a story explaining natural phenomena with supernatural beings. A legend is a narrative of human actions. A fable is a story of mythical creatures with inanimate objects. And a tale is a fictitious or true narrative. However, a legend is a Latin word that means things to be read. And what I want to share with you today is the myth of Romulus and Romulus. These are the two individuals who are attributed with the formation of Rome. These are the prototypes, two brothers that in Roman mythology were attributed with naming Rome. They were two brothers. One died, and as the story played out, Romulus killed Romulus due to an offering of 12 ravens. One offered 12 ravens and one offered 6 ravens, which kind of can be compared to the Cain and Abel story of the offering, where one brother ended up killing the other brother. However, as the story continues on, the two were raised by a wolf. A she-wolf nurtured the kids, and they were divine children. They were the sons of God because they were considered to be the sons of Mars, who is in Roman mythology the god of war. But in closing, Romulus and Romulus fought. Romulus died, and Romulus chose an area and named the town after himself, Rome. But also, as I stated earlier, the kids were there was an assassination attempt on their lives, and they were placed in a basket and floated down the river just as Moses was. So you see a lot of comparisons in ideologies that cross lines into Christian theology and as well as into historical perspectives. But as I said, I just wanted to put this information out there for you to compare and see. And Rome, finally, in closing, is contributed with being founded in 758 BC, which is the 8th century. Now, during this same time period, contemporaneously, Egypt was in the 23rd Pharaohic dynasty. So when Rome was founded in its inception, in its infancy, Egypt already had established a dynastic period 24 times. So remember, in closing, always investigate the information you receive. If it is indeed the truth, verily it shall stand the test of investigation. Peace.
Class dismissed. Kind of like staying at a Holiday Inn Express, only cheaper, and I feel smarter already.
Well, thank you, Eric.
We'll leave the light on for you.
So,
hey, and I picked up on the boss list.
Well, when I didn't get any feedback, I thought I would get an immediate phone call when I used that vernacular, that language explaining boss list, and I said it was synonymous with the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So
I remember that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought that would have sparked a fire there too.
Right.
So, Coach, you going to stay with us for the NFL talk, or what you got?
No, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and allow some callers to call in, man. So you guys continue with a great show. I'm going to go ahead and leave. ADT, JNS, love you.
Peace.
Guys, have a good, great rest of the show.
All right, Perry. Thanks a lot, Coach. Right. So that's Coach Perry Daniels. He, of course, is coming to us remotely from Washington, D.C. Coach had some opportunities up there, so he had to hitch his chuck wagon up there, but he still is right there with us. Even though he's in the district, he's still with us here on Louisiana All American Sports. Area code 225-343-9927. Area code 225-343-9927 if you would like to get in on the conversation. You can talk about anything that we've discussed today or anything that's on your mind in the world of sports or in life. But the next part that we're going to discuss is the National Football League. And this week in the National Football League, we have one of the lousiest and crappiest schedules possibly of the entire year. There are not a lot of compelling matchups. We have, some real potential barn burners and ratings busters like Dallas at Jacksonville from jolly old London and Wembley Stadium. Tennessee and Baltimore, Pittsburgh at the New York Jets. Atlanta at Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Woo! Well, there are some compelling matchups though. All kidding aside, as we have involving our New Orleans Saints, as they will host the San Francisco 49ers, their one-time division rivals prior to the 2002 NFL realignment. The Saints and Niners were in an epic battle last year that was pretty much determined by a clotheslining call against Aldon Smith, which was the right call. The still shot shows Drew Brees' head getting disconnected, but yet Harbaugh and the Niners still feel they were somehow wronged. Tell that to Brees' neck. Well, they come back in to try to extract revenge, but this is not last year's 49ers team. We mentioned earlier this year, after they got off to a bit of a slow start, that perhaps the San Francisco 49ers might be pushing the panic button as they got off to a 1-2 start, losing games to Chicago, of all teams, and Arizona. Well, it's going to, they're in trouble again. They got completely blasted by the Broncos, which you can understand that, especially at Mile High. But then the St. Louis Rams came out to their own building and slapped them around a little bit. So they are a desperate team, sitting in the NFC West race, probably out of the NFC West race at this point, looking way up at 7-1 Arizona, as the 49ers are 4-4. They're a full 3 games back of Arizona and a game back of the Seattle Seahawks. So they come to the Superdome. The Saints are riding high, flying hot. They got their first win on the road in prime time, really manhandling the Carolina Panthers, especially as that second half wore on. They got a big win on Sunday Night Football in the Superdome against arguably the best team in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers, and it wouldn't even be arguable probably had it not been for that butt kicking that they took, Professor. So I'm kidding. But look, we got big game today. Look, we can talk about stats and numbers and Colin Kaepernick this and Jim Harbaugh that and Drew Brees and Mark Ingram. Look, here's the bottom line: these two teams have identical records. The Saints are in the Superdome, and the last time, this is 2014, the last time the Saints lost a game in the Superdome under Sean Payton was 2010. So with a relatively evenly matched set of teams, heck, I picked the Saints over the Packers, so I sure as heck am picking the Saints over the 49ers.
Wow. I'm picking the Saints myself. In actuality, though, this is going to be a real good game, because just like you said, San Francisco 49ers are kind of in turmoil right now with their coach, with their players being out. Aldon Smith, I think, is still out. Patrick Willis. These guys on the Navarro Bowman on the defensive end, but they're 4-4, and they're kind of like a cat backed into the corner. So I think they're going to actually play very, very hard. They're not too bad of a team on turf. I think Kaepernick is kind of overdoing it, doing it a little bit. I think he's trying to do a little bit too much. Yeah, he is pressing. And so this is going to be a good game, but I have to give it to the Saints just because of the home field advantage. That's where I give, because we're both 4-4. We're both desperate. We both need this win. This is a game right here that can turn the season around, or either the season, can be crushed by it. So I'm gonna go with the Saints on this one.
225-343-9927. 225-343-9927 to get in on the conversation.
I'm going to go ahead out on a limb and say that I can't foresee the 49ers losing 3 in a row. I know the Saints are typically lights out at home in the Dome, in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. But I think that the 49ers will come out with a win.
Well, look, we have presidential elections, and the Saints lost about 4 years ago. It's still about some things happen. Sometimes the snow comes down in June. Sometimes the sun goes around the moon. It could happen. Look, the matchup on paper, if this were a neutral site matchup, it'd be a coin toss. So I'm not going to take my black and gold shades off and not be so arrogant as assume the Saints can't lose. But like I said, they took the Packers down at home. Until I see anybody beat them at home, again. I've got to defer to them, but it's going to be a close game, and believe me, I'm a little nervous coming into this one. As a Saints fan, I'm a little nervous because it's, like you said, it's like a cat being thrown against the wall. The key to this game, I think, is going to be what is done in the air. You're not going to stop Frank Gore and that rushing attack. You just got to contain him. At the same time, the Saints secondary the Saints have been good against most rushing attacks,
right.
Very susceptible against the pass, although they look like they've tightened up the last couple of weeks. The question is, if Kaepernick has his head screwed on well, makes his reads, picks the Saints apart, the Saints will have some problems. If, on the other hand, the Superdome crowd gets to him, I think they could be the determining factor for the Saints, what gives them the edge.
I think so, too. I see, actually, the Saints their pass rush has been a lot better the last few games, and I think that's going to play a big key in this ball game. Also, I noticed that Kaepernick primarily throws to 1 or 2 receivers. So if the Saints secondary can be able to kind of double those guys every time and stay with them and keep a spy out for Kaepernick, kind of contain him a little bit, and our offense, I think, can expose their secondary. So that's why I kind of give the edge to the Saints. And plus the home field. It's kind of hard to beat those guys down there. I think that Jimmy Graham is going to play a real big role in this game. And without Patrick Willis, without those fast linebackers that they usually have. So I'm looking at us to be able to pull out a squeaker, but I think we're going to win +3.
I'll tell you what. I think you're right. I think the Patrick Willis factor might be another one of those small coins, the small weighers that tips the scale in the Saints' favor. 343-9927, 343-9927. If you want to talk with us. Coming up in about 4 minutes, we have Noel Jackson with Music Satisfaction here on 96.9 FM WHYR-LP Baton Rouge Community Radio. We have one more. One more matchup that won't stink coming up this week, and it's one you might not have had circled on your calendars back in August, as the Detroit Lions are off to a surprising 6-2 start, and they will be hosting the Miami Dolphins at Ford Field. The Dolphins looks like Joe Philbin's plan and quarterback Ryan Tannehill's development might be coming into fruition, as the Dolphins are 2 games back of New England in the AFC East at 5-3, and the Detroit Lions are leading the NFC North by a single game at 6-2. Now, this is a tough one to call. Detroit has one of the best defenses in the NFL. I know I did not look at the total team rankings, but they have the second best rushing offense, fifth best rushing defense, fifth best passing defense, and I know they've been number 1 overall a couple of times this year. And Matt Stafford, when Matt Stafford is good Matt Stafford, he can light it up. The question is the Megatron factor. Will he play? And if he does, how well will he play? But problem with them is that they don't have a running attack. I mean, Reggie Bush puts up a lot of yards from scrimmage in those short passes, but as far as plowing through the line, it's just not what the Lions do well. This is a tight matchup. I give the slightest edge on paper to the Detroit Lions, but this one could really go either way, I think.
And I concur. But I kind of give the edge a little bit probably to the Miami Dolphins. And the reason why is because I think that Tannehill's actually, these guys have been kind of flying under the radar. The pressure hasn't really been on them that much, and Tannehill has quietly been performing pretty good the last couple of games. But on the other side, I think Detroit, I think Jim Caldwell had these guys really playing for his first year. For him to be atop the division is quite an accomplishment. I think that the guy with Arizona are probably doing the best. Bruce Arians probably doing the best coaching jobs that I've seen this year, strictly on just coaching.
Right.
But him being without Megatron and still being able to be 6-2 is a good thing. But I'm gonna give the edge to Detroit for having the home field advantage, grinding out, knowing how to win. They seem to have an identity now, and so I kind of give the edge to them. But the sleeper that I have, nobody really talks about, is Cameron Wake. And I like that guy for the Miami Dolphins. This is a pass rusher that he knows how to get to the quarterback. This guy is amazing, man. This guy is good, but I rarely hear people talking about him, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if the Dolphins keep winning and he keeps crushing quarterbacks, we'll definitely continue to hear more and more about Mr. Wake. He's definitely a bull of a defensive end. Just looked at the injury report from Friday afternoon, and it's listing Calvin Johnson as probable for Sunday's game against Miami. So perhaps, he has overcome that ankle injury and will be able to help contribute. If Megatron plays, I think Detroit wins off top. Jim Caldwell has found ways to pull victory from the jaws of defeat. Obviously, once at the hands of the New Orleans Saints and then that game in London, I think Mike Smith couldn't believe what hit him on the way out, and frankly, neither could I. I was literally doing a happy dance with my morning coffee and pointing and laughing at the TV screen after Detroit pulled that one off. But they find ways to win, and that is ultimately, especially in the NFL, is the object of the game.
Exactly.
So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our at the end of our journey. You see what my mind is. Come to the end of our journey here on Louisiana All American Sports. Guys, any parting shots?
I just want to give a strong shout out to my daughter, Miss Terrell Johnson, who is a athlete at Texas Southern University. She's here in town this weekend. She's a 2-time defending SWAC champion in the triple jump. Very proud of her. Much love for her. She's home competing hard. Also a state champion at McKinley in track in 2011. So kudos to my daughter, baby daddy. Love you, and I just want to recognize you.
As usual, I want to give a shout out to all you guys and everything. I want to give a shout out to my listeners in Baton Rouge, my family, my daughter, my mother. Give it out to my I have a mentor. His name is Mr. Collins Harper. I want to give a shout out to him. and tell them to thank you and the rest of your listeners. Thank you, guys.
I think my mom, Dr. Brenda Hatfield, might be listening. So if you are listening, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you drug Dad near the computer. And love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. And as we always say, have a good afternoon. Go Tigers.
Yeah, peace. Boy.
What's your mom got a document?
I think it's
Hail to the king and lots of love. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lots of